So real quick, I wanted to be talking about V.E. Schwab's second book, Vengeful, because I recently finished it. Now, I loved Vengeful. I think it did a really good job expanding the conflict between Eli and Victor. We get a lot more of Eli's backstory for this one, which, spoiler warning, it is very heavy in religious trauma. So if anyone's really sensitive to that, just be forewarned going into the parts of the book where Eli talks about that. I just wanted to give you guys a fair warning. But I don't think I liked it as much as the first one. And I'm going to give you guys kind of a run through of why. The one thing that this book does very well is just kind of escalate Victor and Eli's cat and mouse game, because that was mainly the focus of the first book with Victor trying to hunt down Eli to try and kill him. But in this book, this just ups the ante, because Eli is working with Stell, who we met in the first book, but now that Stell has Eon under his side and is actively hunting EOs, Eli now has the vast resources of Eon at his side, and now he and Stell are working together to both hunt down Marcella, who I'll get to in a minute, as well as Eli, Sydney, and everyone else. So the other thing that this book does really well is show kind of the escalation of everyone's powers, because in this book, Victor's powers are going haywire after the events of the first book. He's starting to lose control at key important moments and hurting everyone around him, as well as Sydney's powers are starting to develop as she slowly starts building up her powers and getting better at resurrecting people. So I really like that, as well as I really enjoyed Marcella's powers. And I think I've talked about this before, but I love how each of the powers for the characters represents and really reflects their personalities. And I think V.E. Schwab did a really good job at kind of tailoring these powers to these characters so well. And just for a second, I really want to highlight Sydney's development in this one, because she was very important for the first book, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she doesn't go through as big of a character development as she goes through this book, because in this book she's more concerned about keeping Victor safe and kind of undoing the effects that her powers had on him during the first book. So that's her arc. I really loved Victor's arc as well, because now he has to sort of deal with the fact that he is not the same and is not in control of his powers as well as he was beforehand. So he has to deal with kind of being mindful of how long it's going to take before he gets to that point where he has an outburst and accidentally hurts someone in his vicinity. So it really ups the stakes for this book compared to the first one. The one thing I don't necessarily love about book 2 is Marcella. Now, not to say that she's a bad character. I think she's really well written, and she goes through this kind of Godfather storyline where she takes over the city of Merit and basically makes it her own kingdom. I really enjoyed that, but I think this book kind of derails, and especially in the middle. That second part, the entire second part of the book is basically just everyone trying to take down Marcella, and it kind of derails the whole Eli Victor thing until Marcella is dead, and we're able to kind of switch focus to Eli and Victor getting back to kind of the core conflict of the book between the two. Now, again, Marcella's not a bad character, but I think that the second book just kind of derails in the middle in order to deal with her character. Doesn't necessarily ruin the pacing, but it kind of trips the pacing of this book for me. The one thing I really appreciate is at the very end, spoilers for the book if anyone hasn't read it, but one of the other characters is starting to create a cure for extraordinaries and their powers. And I love the implications of this going into book 3, because it's very reminiscent of the mutant cure storyline for the X-Men. So it's pretty clear where I think V. Schwab is going for the third book, but I cannot wait for that book to drop in October, and I will definitely be doing a review when I get the chance to read it, and you'll get my full thoughts on it.